This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action, and you're listening to the Krypton Report.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird!
It's a plane! It's the Krypton Report!
Welcome to the Krypton Report podcast, presented by the Southgate Media Group.
The All Things Kryptonian podcast, including Superman and Supergirl.
We discuss games, movies, cartoons, TV shows, and comics.
Krypton Report Pod can be found on Facebook, Twitter, Skype, YouTube, and Instagram.
And if you want to drop us a line, send it to kryptonreportpod@gmail.com.
We are on Patreon under Southgate Media Group.
And our official merch page is tpublic.com. Search Krypton Report.
Now on with the show.
Hey, James.
Hey, Tyler.
Man, can you believe here we are? Season 4. It seems like just the other day I was starting this podcast with anticipating of season 1. And here we are, our third year on the CW, fourth season of Supergirl. Man, time has flown by.
Oh, it's gone really fast. I remember watching it on CBS, and now 3 years, starting its third year on CW. Yeah,
and I mean,
time flies.
Deal that was it going to CW, and then season 2. The premiere on the CW is going to have Superman. And here we are, like, season 4. We've already spent 2 years on the CW, and it feels great. Like, and we just had another anniversary. James and I were talking. James has been with the podcast now about a little over a year now, and it didn't dawn on us until last week. That's how busy we are.
Yeah, time flies. I can't believe it's been a year already.
So we're doing our little reminiscing here, but we're starting things off just a little different. We're excited to talk about Supergirl. Premiered Sunday night this time, launching the new CW Sundays, which is kind of cool because, when I was a kid, Sunday nights had like the magical world of Disney or whatever, and then it just kind of became really nothing on TV Sundays. And now I have something to look forward to.
Right. Yeah, I remember growing up and, Sunday night was like family TV night. Everybody sat down. I mean, there was the magical world of Disney and, there was tons of other shows. But then over the last, even decade, I mean, Sunday night has just been animation domination on Fox, all these adult and inappropriate cartoons. It's not family night anymore.
It's Family Guy night. And then I'm going to probably sound ignorant saying this, but isn't there Sunday night football? I don't even remember.
Well, there's football all day Sunday.
Yeah.
There's always late night games, evening games. Pretty much noon to midnight almost. You can expect some football to be on someplace.
So it just, it's just interesting because so we watched Supergirl, and then all day yesterday, I kept having to remind myself that it was Monday night to watch Arrow, like the premiere of Arrow, because, Arrow's moved a couple times its time slot, but I just got used to Supergirl being on Mondays. And that was like kicking off my week of TV was Monday nights, and now it's Sunday nights. So tonight felt like it should be Wednesday, and I should watch Arrow, but no, today it was Tuesday night, and I'm watching Flash and Black Lightning. So it just threw me all off,
Yeah. Well, with DC TV, it's actually going to be a pretty cool year, I think. We got Supergirl Sunday, Arrow and Legends Monday, Flash and Black Lightning Tuesday. When Krypton comes back, if in keeping, it's going to be Wednesday. Gotham, if keeping, I believe they're still on Thursdays this season. I'm not positive, but I think the date is the premiere date is a Thursday. And then DC Universe dropping new content on Fridays. Like DC has got 6 nights a week.
But yeah, I mean, for a good potential. But Gotham doesn't start till next year, and Krypton as well. So, but at the same time, I mean, yeah, there's the potential to have a good. That's what I wanted for like the longest time. Was I just want a good solid week of one show a night kind of thing. But we're kind of getting there, and it's nice. Saturdays we'll take a breath. We'll all just be like, and get ready for Sundays.
Yep.
Let's jump into.
Can you think about how many podcasts are going to be recording on Saturday night because everything's finally done for the week?
So we're going to jump into American Alien, and which is kind of a cool title for the episode because there was that run. I don't know if you ever read Superman American Alien that was written by why is his name leaving me? Max Landis. Most famously known for writing Chronicle. He's written some other films. He's also written some scripts for movies that were then changed or rewritten. One being Power Rangers. He wrote the first script of the reboot. American Ultra was one of his scripts, and there's a few others, but Chronicle was like his big boom. Of course, his father being director John Landis, but he wrote it was called Superman American Alien. First issue was good. After that one, I don't remember much. It didn't stand out to me.
I remember anticipating that a while back when it was coming out. I don't even remember how many years ago
I want to say
that had come out, but I know I was anticipating that, but I don't think I ever got to read anything but the first issue.
Yeah, I want to say it was 3 years ago.
I know I didn't finish it, that's for sure.
I read I didn't get the first one on time. I waited, and then I picked it up, and then I think I read the next, I can't remember if it was 4 or 5 issues. Anyways, I read like a couple of issues as they came out, and then I waited and went back and finally picked them up just to complete the miniseries. So they're really clever at their titles. But this episode, right off the bat, this episode starts, and we learn that Superman is off-world. We see the newsstand where Superman got the call from Perry White in the season 2 premiere, where we first see Clark. It says Superman is off-world, and that Supergirl is basically picking up the slack. This is like the first time we see Supergirl in different countries, different areas, saving and helping out.
You know, it looks like she stops like a meteor, is what it looked like. Saved the little girl's balloon. Stopped an art thief and stopped a runaway Kasnian train, which is pretty cool. They got Kasnia in there.
Yes. There's been a couple little slight of DC things. One being that we'll mention that I did some reading and research for. But let's see. I didn't get to take all my notes because the kids kept me away from my book and everything. Solomon was acting crazy, and I had to lay down the life of a father.
Right. So I liked all her super saves right at the beginning. It was a nice hopeful start. Followed by a new Supergirl logo, yes, which was nice and bright, had the yellow trim around it, and had the sun rising up through in the background. I thought it was really nice, a hopeful logo for a hopeful opening.
I love it because that is like one of my pet peeves. Is like I've told Jania, is like she picks on me about it because I love when each season they change the logo title cards to really reflect whatever that season is. To help just kind of differentiate from it. Arrow eventually did it. Like the big one was in season 3, and then they slightly did like modifications to it by like either making the arrow brighter or greener or whatever. And then eventually they did it where like all the different symbols popped up for the different heroes.
Right, and then they had different colors for 2 teams.
So, but it was never as consistent like season 1 and season 2. Flash has never been really big on changing the title card enough to really notice. You can this season.
Yeah.
But
well, like the first episode, interestingly, had the purple and the yellow, and then this one didn't have the purple in it. So I was like,
I
why did they
missed
do
the first
that
couple
already?
of minutes because I just walked in from work when it started.
Mm.
But yeah, you're right. The first episode did. But no, with Supergirl, they've been really good about each season, like doing that little bit different. Just so, and Supernatural's always been my favorite of how they change the title card every season, and it really helps you keep. So, like if you're watching like on TNT and you're not sure what season you're in, you just watch that title card, and you're like, boom, I know where I'm at. So we got that new title card. Kara is at Catco. She's happy. She's, working as a reporter. Really kind of like, feels like she stepped up her game. And, James calls her out that there's going to be some interns and people coming. And it was interesting because she does some things and James, like, calls her basically Cat Grant. But she's acting like Cat. Because she says TikTok. Chop, chop.
Yeah, I caught that. She was, definitely more comfortable in her role at Catco than she has been in 3 seasons.
And it's cool. I like it. To catch up, John left the DEO after doing the mind meld with his father. And he's now like in a alien support group.
Right.
Which is kind of neat,
Yeah.
It's going to be this season's going to have a lot of interesting tones to it. Because it's really going to get political with some of the things you're going to deal with through the eyes and ideas of aliens.
Yeah,
Because
well.
one of the big things with this was we find out like we have this support group of aliens, but we have these 2 sides where Jean's on the street and experiencing things and learning how there's a climate of people who hate aliens. And we see like protesting, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but we see examples of, alien hate, so to speak. And Supergirl doesn't see that. And it's brought up again that, Supergirl looks and appears human compared to some of the other aliens that don't or can't.
Right.
That's going to be a big thing this season.
Well, that's got to be an easy assimilation. Looking human, not having to hide. Besides lying. And with it was just within the last couple of years that they did the Alien Amnesty Act, allowing Earth to be a safe place for aliens to migrate to live on, and so a lot of aliens are newer to Earth, and she's lived there for how many years now? 18 years, roundabout.
I mean,
pretty close.
And so we're going to kind of skip around, but with the Alien Amnesty Act, as we learned that there's a summit meeting at Camp David that the president's hosting.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a feeling, I told you that something's going to happen with the president, and they're under attack at Camp David, and we'll get to that who here in a moment. And it's revealed to the public that the president is an alien. Because we know that Bruce Boxenhauser, otherwise known as Tron, from Tron, is going to be the vice president. So if they're casting the vice president, that means that something would have happened to the president. So that's going to be a big deal with all this alien stuff, the fact that the world now knows that the president is an alien.
Oh yeah. So do you want to talk about who attacked or?
Yep. So
okay.
We
have
the best live action version of Mercy Graves ever.
Yeah, she I mean in that attack she stands and fights toe to toe with Alex, who we know is no pushover whatsoever.
So Mercy Graves has always kind of been compared to being like the character that's kind of Lex Luthor's Harley Quinn in a sense. You know, if you're familiar with that Batman the animated or Batman and Superman animated series, Mercy was like the chauffeur undercover with Lex Luthor in Superman series.
Yeah, she was his chauffeur and his bodyguard.
She was poorly cast and portrayed in BVS.
Yeah.
By Teo Okamoto, and Luthor just blew her up. I mean,
yeah, that was sad that they kind of decided to do that with some DC characters. She's not the only one that just kind of was there and then whatever, just
and we won't dive into
done away with.
yeah.
But we actually got Otis too.
I was gonna say Otis Graves, and I never thought that he was related to. I don't know if that's like they're amalgamizing the character of Otis. I'm pulling some information up right now, but it's the version of as an Otisburg. Lex Luthor's lackey in Superman the movie, Superman 2, and of course Superman 4 he's referenced. But I never thought of him as Otis Graves, but I guess that
I guess it's possible. Could just be a retcon for the series. I never thought of them as related either, but it was nice that it was a cool callback that they actually brought in an Otis and a Mercy.
Yes, it was very cool. They are former Project Cadamus agents that are on their own. Well, not really on their own. We see that they kind of have like a layer where they're operating out of abandoned Cadmus facilities, and they're working with somebody, an agent of Liberty, as he introduces himself at the end of the episode. And we see Lena is here, and so is Lillian Luthor, because Lena comes into play to use Lillian to find out information about Cadmus Labs to try to track down the Graves. So there's a lot going on in this episode, really.
Yeah. Lena's pretty smart. I mean, she's always smart, but Lena's pretty conniving in this episode, using her mother to find Cadmus places and using her mother to get the leverage on Bruno Mannheim to trade for to cancel James. Yeah, exonerate James's indictment for being Guardian, which we saw he revealed himself to be Guardian, and they opened this season. He is under indictment for vigilante for vigilante activities.
I think that James Guardian thing's going to slowly start to lay back down, because they really downplayed that in season 3 a lot. And Bruno Mannheim was actually mentioned in an episode of Arrow in season 6, as episode docket number 11/19/41/73. So that's kind of just neat. Little characters in the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
So Lena plays her mom to protect James, but still kind of conniving behind James's back, because James even mentions, Lena, that he can do this on his own. He'll stand on his own 2 feet, as guardian. But she does it without telling him that she cuts a deal to protect him. So
yeah,
I know that's going to come back and bite somebody in the butt.
Yeah, which I really liked the way they played it off. When the DA goes on television and say that they are not indicting James for his activities as guardian, but they have brought more. They have evidence against Intergang and Bruno Mannheim laundering money and all this other stuff, and the reaction that Lillian has in prison.
Oh, it's classic Luther.
Yeah, she caught on to it right away. She smiled. She knew exactly what happened, and I like how she dropped her king on chess on the board on the chessboard. She dropped the king down. She's like, checkmate. She got me. She tricked me, and she, right, boom, she got it.
And they also, let's not forget that they dropped the charges, but James is restricted from any further Guardian activity. Any further Guardian activity, he will be prosecuted for.
Yeah, which kind of opens the door this season for trouble. Him being framed as continuing Guardian at some point if he doesn't do it, and somebody picks up the thread and they go after him, but he's not the one who did it.
Exactly.
So a possible story thread down the line in the season.
We have now Kara, as she's going around, like her and John, they meet at the first Graves attack, where their Graves are getting a EMP weapon, and there is a scientist, a physicist who excuse me, is an alien who has pointy, as they're called, Tolkien ears, and has like bone tusks out of his forearms. And it's interesting because the Graves attack, they cut his tusks off and use the bio scanning of his DNA to get into the vault. Well, Supergirl's there, and then the DEO, and then Jean's there because that alien was a member of his support group that he's part of. And there's an interesting conversation where Jean says, this was an attack on an alien, like an alien hate crime. And Supergirl's, no, it was just, circumstantial. And John points out about cutting his tusks, and she comments, about, well, they use it for the biometric system. And it's interesting because if you were just observer, we have more details, but you could kind of see it both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then as the episode progresses and we find out these people are getting, messages we haven't even mentioned a character yet, but we'll get there. Dark web usage to communicate with the Graves and Agent Liberty about how, buying and selling weapons to take out aliens, because people don't like having aliens live, among us. And I mean, I guess it's human nature in a way. I don't even want to say it's human nature, because
people hate those that are different.
Yes,
it is human nature. I mean,
but at the same time, we also have the nature to be compassionate, loving, and understanding.
Oh yeah. It's not limited. That's for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I don't want to, nail it that human nature is like a hate, but there will always be people who hate and fear what they don't understand, or even just don't like it. They understand it, but they don't want it or like it, and are unreceptive to these beings, people, whatever. I mean, history's filled with man hating man. So we have, and that's Supergirl's realization of what's going on.
Yeah, she's pretty shocked when she's actually shocked at the hate and the fact that there are so many people. When she even talks to was it John that she talked to?
Yeah.
It was. She's like, it's just people. She's like, it's just people, like families. There's people. Yeah, people I save every day, just families. These people got kids and go to work, and so it genuinely shocked it, and she played it really well. It genuinely shocked her.
I think the interesting point is when Kara talks with John and asks her to go and help her stop this, and he says, it's not my fight. I've been on the front lines and stuff. That scene felt awkward to me. He talked about mind melding with his father and what that meant before his father went and everything. I felt like something was missing for that scene. Like either more to it or after for Jean to all of a sudden just be like this peaceful voice. And he's the one that convinced her that these were hate crimes. There was a bombing outside the bar, where the aliens are, and he convinced her that these are hate crimes towards aliens, but yet he's not going to help her stop these people attacking. I don't know. I didn't feel what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
And it's not the actor's fault or in the right. I think we just needed some either more dialogue or something in the scene, or another scene that really built up to who and what Jean is now. Because we saw him even wearing his father's Martian robe in his apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of weird, like, you're talking about these hate crimes and people are physically attacking aliens, but yet you're not going to do anything. Like, to help Supergirl protect this alien summit, which is where the president gets shot with a weapon that reveals her alienness. And there's a really good scene with the alien support group where there's an alien talking, and he got one of the digital imagers that makes him look human. And he's talking about how great his life is now. He got a job and all this. And then
produced by L Corp.
Yep. And then another alien basically says, basically brings him down from his high because he's being untrue to who he is, and that they should be accepted for who and what they are, which I understand. And it's a very hard path to walk with this. It's a big deal. I mean, the idea of aliens on Earth, I think, is bigger concept than what this show has prepared itself to be.
Right.
Compared to like metahumans, all the other series have built up metahumans to where there can be hate against metahumans, like on Flash, because they've been building up metahumans for seasons. And aliens have been coming, but to show kind of the idea of the world embracing aliens and aliens in our lives, I think is a little big for Supergirl at this moment.
It is season 4, and we did talk about how it's been alien after alien after alien for 3 seasons. It has been the big bad. It's just been all extraterrestrial threats. So it kind of does lend itself to at least the starting point here. We'll see how they develop it. It definitely lends itself to the fact that the aliens are here, and that there's going to be people that are fine with it, and people that are going to, commit these crimes and have these prejudices against them. And so, it's going to be a heavy season the way it starts off here.
You're very right. And to take back, we didn't talk about this season kicks off. We no longer have Monel or Win. Win has gone on with the Legion. And now we have Brainy, who is at the DEO, driving Alex crazy. Why Alex is the head of the DEO. And we get some cool scenes with Brainy.
Yeah. I like Alex here, kind of in the director's position. You know, she's really grown as a character over 3 seasons, and you know, even from the very beginning, she's always had that that quality of being, you know, of being the boss, of leading people, bringing stuff out of them. I mean, even back when she was like training Kara to fight, and the talks that they have to support each other, you know. So I think it's a good role. I can't wait to see how well she does with it.
And I agree. It's kind of, if you think about it in a parallel, Kara has kind of been elevated as a mentor figure at her job, while Alex is now a leading figure at her job. So they've come into their own as characters, from being just a regular agent and just a assistant to now being in more leadership role model positions. Because Kara now has an intern reporter that she's mentoring, which is Mia.
Yeah, that was a fun elevator scene.
Paralleling Kara, she was like, "Oh my god, you're me."
Right. Yeah, back to Brainy, because he was pretty thick in this episode. You know, he was, you know, he said he was driving Alex crazy. I liked how he was doing things. You know, he was trying so many different things, you know, to kind of to fit, to mesh with her better.
And none of them were working.
You know, his all too literal understanding of what she says, but you know, he doesn't have any comprehensions of like what people mean, like nuances to what they have to say. You know, he takes it at just like complete face value, and that's a problem for her and for him.
They haven't caught their footing yet. Which is going to be interesting.
Yeah. So he tries a couple of different things. Like when he goes to rescue Kara, long live the Legion, and goes flying off, which was really interesting in that quick little scuff when they cut off the tusks of that alien. When Kara showed up, they were ready for her. They had some tech to be able to attack her, stop her. They had that high frequency sonic emitter, and it hurt her ears, and that whatever that laser was,
gravity cuffs or something.
Yeah, whatever that laser was that sent her blew her out of the building, and then those gravity cuffs that latched onto her ankles and took her to the ground.
So, I mean, she definitely was caught off guard.
Yeah, they were prepared.
From the moment she popped down, she was not ready for what they were. And that's a big deal, I think, for this season going to be, is she's not ready, I think, to fight the battle that's coming, because she hasn't perceived what's happening. Because the episode ends where we find out that another member of the alien group that Jean's part of was kidnapped by the Graves and gets executed by Agent Liberty. Agent Liberty played by the great Sam Witwer.
Mm-hmm.
And I look forward to more of his acting because I just really enjoy him as an actor. And if you're not familiar with him, check out Smallville Season 8. He plays Davis Bloom. And he did the show on Sci-Fi called Being Human.
I love that show.
It was a great show. He played a vampire named Aiden.
If you're a video game person, he was also in the Star Wars the Force Unleashed games. The character was modeled after him, as well as he voiced the character.
A Star Killer.
Yes, of Darth Vader's secret apprentice.
If you're a fan of The Walking Dead, he was the dead soldier in the tank in the pilot episode.
Oh yeah, he was, wasn't he?
Yeah, because they were supposed to do more with him because he was a friend of Frank Darabont's from the part he played in, as a military man in The Mist. He's been in other things. Just a really, really skilled actor, really good actor. So I look forward to what he brings to.
Yeah, and he really likes the, he's a nerd. He loves, fantasy, sci-fi, all that stuff. I mean, he's been immersed in it since he came on the scene. He's is
also the
totally in his wheelhouse.
Voice for Darth Maul.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, he did the voice on the Clone Wars series, but he also did the Darth Maul voice in spoilers, in Solo. He was also, if you watched Once Upon a Time, he did 5 episodes as Mr. Hyde, he did really good there. He voiced
I haven't seen much of that show.
He voiced Orm in Justice League Thrones of Atlantis.
Yes, I like that one.
Episode of Grimm, which I forgot about.
That must have been in a later season. I've only seen first 2.
Yeah, I gotta watch 5 and 6. He was in 3 episodes of Dexter. I remember those. And 1 episode of Bones. He was in 11. How did I forget this? I totally forgot. I feel bad for this. But he was in Battlestar Galactica. He had 11 episodes of Battlestar Galactica. 1 episode of Star Trek Enterprise. Angel. So, yeah. Dark Angel. The guy's been around, okay? The guy knows his stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a very talented character actor.
Surprised he's never been on Supernatural. That kind of bums me out. He hasn't been.
Yeah, right.
So that pretty much wraps up the episode. How do you feel about it? Good start for season 4?
Yeah, I think it's a good premiere for season 4. Introduce Agent Liberty. The real heavy with the alien hate crimes. The last line Kara gives, the fuse is lit that she got from Otis. There's a lot more to come. I think it was a very strong pilot. My bad. Very strong premiere.
And I agree. I think it had a strong premiere. It definitely basically was able to kickstart and give us a feel for what this season is going to be. We had some fun. We had a good moment with each of our characters that we, have followed and been a part of. So we were able to kind of drop back into their world and pick up where we were. And
this starting, I like in this episode, I like Brainy more in this episode than I did in all of his appearances last season. I think he did a good job last season in the majority of his appearances, but I think his role this season, I think the actor himself, he's able to do like so much. He's able to be so smart and you know, like rattle off his lines so quickly, while still actually remaining natural. You know, like when he's dressed in Wynn's clothes and he kind of fires off the little toy gun and, you know, he sets it down, but you know, he doesn't skip a beat. Like, I really enjoyed this episode more than I did everything he did last season.
And, you know, I can agree with that. I can get behind that for sure. So, yeah, I mean, what would you rate this episode?
Solid 9. Very strong. You know, Kara did a good job. She stepped into her own. Alex's character stepped into her own. You know, John's kind of doing something different. And we'll see where he goes. I mean, he wasn't particularly interesting, but you know, he recognizes things before Kara and everything has. Brainy, really good. A good story. Great introduction to the Graves. Lena did really well. It's always great to see Lena and Lillian interacting. You know, heavy episode with some levity here and there. It was a good episode, a solid 9.
And I would have to say I agree, because one thing, like, I was watching it and I just was at first a little frustrated with just the way Supergirl just seemed very naive about everything. But I feel like that was the perfect way to start this, because that's going to build her into seeing what has become and people's like true nature towards aliens. And then the end of the episode's little tag is we see the Kara clone, the Russian Supergirl, under the ground punching.
Oh yeah, we almost didn't even talk about that. In Kasnia, under the ground, like shaking the mountain that the train is literally frozen on the tracks. Above. I mean, nothing major, but like, what is she doing? What are they doing? And, you know, at least they referenced her, you know, she's still to come.
Yeah. And I'm curious, because we know it's supposed to be Red Sun influenced. I'm still trying to figure out what exactly she is, you know, like, the way they brought her and did that whole thing. It kind of makes me think of, like, is she like a time remnant? And I had a friend today, we were talking.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Trying to explain, like, we were talking about Flash season 2. So.
Right. And even season 3 with Savitar.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he was.
Trying to explain the concept of a time remnant, like, and what exactly it is.
Yeah, I had not even thought about that, about her being a time remnant. We were kind of focused on the somewhat black kryptonite angle, which, I mean, if our only reference to it, I guess, I mean, you know, when they first introduced it, it was kind of like two sides of the same person in the same body. But then when they brought it back with Davis Bloom, in season 8, it did separate the monster from the person. So there was like 2 people. So I guess, I was kind of thinking like, well, how would that separate her into 2, with it kind of thinking more of the season 4, where it's kind of like, two minds, 2 beings almost in the same body, just like fighting over who's in control. But then I just remembered the separating Davis Bloom from Doomsday. So I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. And then it makes me wonder, will it pan out to be something like, Supergirl Red, Supergirl Blue, where they have, you know what I'm saying? Like the Supergirl that we have, maybe that's why she evokes this naivete, is because she's like, Supergirl, technically she's Supergirl Blue, and like her evil or darker side or whatever is the one that's in Russia. There's been different ways to split,
That's 2 interesting concepts right there that I hadn't even thought about since the finale. Time Remnant or like Red and Blue.
And that's kind of what I feel like I need to revisit the finale just to kind of really kind of feel that out. But
right. Well, that, I mean, all of them kind of make sense, but I do kind of like that idea of the red and blue.
The more we talk it out,
it's plugged right into Superman lore for years. Superman has been that years and years and years ago. I don't even remember. It was the 60s, I believe, when it first happened. Yep. And then they had the electric in the 90s, and then they had it in Superman Reborn, and then what was the image of John Kent as
recently in Adventures of Super Son.
Yeah,
we had it, and it's not like a good version, bad version. I mean, there's been depictions like that, like the Justice League Action episode where they get split. They kind of made it more like red was more of like the aggressive side, and blue's very trusting, good, passive side of
right
things. So I mean, it's been played with before like that, so we could see something along those lines play out in this season. And I'm kind of intrigued by that. The other thing is I kind of, if they're gonna pull more of this alien hate and Cadmus, I'd kind of like to see maybe Cadmus's goal and like create their ultimate weapon, and we get like Superboy, kind of out of this or something. It would be kind of interesting to see, because I think that's a character that we should see somewhere on TV.
Mm-hmm.
There's been talks that maybe he'll appear on Titans, maybe not. So we'll wait and see. But what are your feedback, good fans, good listeners and friends? Let us know. Shoot us some social media, and we'll talk about it on air. But until then, remember,
look up in the sky.
Look up in the sky.
Look up in the sky. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Krypton Report. You can also email us at kryptonreportpod@gmail.com. If you get a chance to go over to iTunes, please leave us a review to help us get better. If you're an Amazon shopper, just remember you can go to southgatemediagroup.com. There's a portal, log into Amazon, and you'll shop into your account just regular, but it also helps keep all the podcasts on and helps keep Southgate running. Remember, look up in the sky.